What is going on, y'all? This is your boy, the Devout Joystick, coming at y'all with another video. My name is Chris, and I bring you the latest gaming news, reviews, and walkthroughs of multiple different avenues. And today, we are discussing my thoughts and expectations on The Last of Us Part 2 with no spoilers. If you're new to this channel and you want to see more coming from me, then make sure you hit that like button, watch the video to the end, and leave a comment on what you hope to see and what you hope does not happen. And also hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And let's talk about this game, this awesome story that Naughty Dog has decided to make a sequel of. The Last of Us, that came out on the PlayStation 3, was a post-apocalyptic survival game. I did not think I was going to enjoy the way I did, and I was so bent on trying to get a platinum for this game. The game terrified me in many ways with the theme and the setting that just made you so immersed in the game that you really felt like in some ways you didn't have help and you did not have a way out. And you were trying your best to survive and just survive. I love what Naughty Dog took when they came together for The Last of Us. I did not play the DLC. Sometimes I won't play DLCs for the fact that they are extras or they come out at times where I'm already playing other games. I didn't even know at the time when The Last of Us was completed that there was a DLC until I saw YouTube videos talking about the DLC, The Last of Us Left Behind. I hope to see a true organic continuation that complements the first story in The Last of Us Part 2 because of how the game just flowed so nicely. I can't see them detracting or deviating from the game's plot in a monumental way. Now, not saying that the creative license that Naughty Dog takes can't do that and be successful. From a player standpoint, however, I would want to see a recap of what the first game was successful for and then just jump right into the time lapse of what took place, so like a 5 years later or however far in the future that this game takes place. Which goes to my point of, if it's not broken, please don't fix it. I don't want to see any ideas forced into the narrative of the game that don't need to be there to support why they're in the situation that they are in. There are a lot of elements that make the game already, and there are a lot of elements in the game that made the first game one of the most classic story-driven games of the current day. So I want to just see a complement, not a complete additive. I want to see them implement more play styles that may have been frustrating in hard difficulties, meaning they don't feel as punished when they choose to do a certain play style, as long as it makes sense to the level that they may be on and the amount of enemies that they may have to deal with. There are ways that people are going to find to speed run a certain level, and there's some ways that people are going to be able to stealth an entire level. But there's many different creative ways that a player can attack a situation or attack an enemy, and the team already said that the combat is going to feel rough and raw. Our playstyles can also adapt to that rawness that they're going to make in this game. I'm excited to see what the rough and raw really looks like once it's in my hands and in my controller and in my ability to process how enemies move and how they function, as well as the overall environment. Does the environment work against me as well, or what is going to be making the combat harder than the first one? I hope that quantity is not over quality in these ideas that they're coming forward with and what makes the game. And what I mean by that is, if they have a lot of ideas and they all agree with every idea that everybody comes up and makes, it makes a good case for inclusion of ideas and thought processes, and that's good. But sometimes ideas don't make the cut and they go into other projects, or they are put on the shelf to revisit later. I want to see quality ideas that make this game even more interesting and more exciting to play because they make sense and they add tremendously to the game's plot and the overall narrative of the game. I hope that they don't push beliefs or ideologies that push one belief system represented as the main focus. There can be belief systems in the world, they can be represented in many ways that don't have to take place in a game's narrative as the main focus. If you have some type of religious belief or sexual preference, that it has to make the game and has to change a character's outlook on life or their ways of doing things. The Last of Us Part 2 has had a lot of controversy surrounding this. One may say politics need to be in games because it's one of the most influential pieces of media that there are. At the same time, if you're going to add a politic that is from a positive standpoint, then all positive standpoints that people believe in need to be represented equally in a game. That would make the idea of inclusion in gaming more realistic. Since there is not an equal amount of inclusion in gaming as it is, it seems to look like the game's narrative has been altered in a way to support one narrative and one belief system that is being forced. And that's what I hope does not happen in this game. I'm going to reserve my final verdict until I get it in my hands, and then I can see how much is contributed to somebody's belief system in a game versus it being a side plot or a side story that doesn't detract from the viewer's ingesting of the main story, which is trying to find a cure, trying to find a safe haven, ultimately avoiding the impending doom that is surrounding the world. And my last point is if death or loss is imminent or inevitable, flush out the reasons why. Try to make it as understandable to the masses as possible. Not everybody is going to get it, and not everybody is going to agree with a main character dying per se, or a very loved and appreciated character dying. If they do have to die, however, I want it to be believable and I want it to be realistic. I don't want a character dying just because they wanted to potentially just kill off a character. And if it is perceived that way to me, then I'm going to keep trying to figure out their design choice and how they chose to go about doing it. But I shouldn't feel that it was just because they felt like doing it. It should make sense to the player when they play the game that the buildup of the character arc or the buildup of that story or that act in the scene made the character go to that extent to kill another player, or it was left off at a cliffhanger, which sometimes I can't stand, turns out to be the leading cause of why the third game becomes a thing. It doesn't always have to be a happy ending, but it just needs to be understood. When Friday comes around, I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy the game as well as I. But the sad thing about all of this is that because of where I am right now and the fact that I don't have my PlayStation 4, I will not be able to play this game right away. I will get this game to give my honest review as what you come to expect, but it will just be around 2 to 3 weeks late from the release date of this game, which is a first because I normally try to go and get the game right away when the game drops so I can be ahead and keep you guys informed as possible. However, since the game is not coming out, I'm going to be giving reviews on other games that I do have access to. I ask that you like, comment, and subscribe, and you leave a comment for what you hope to see and what you hope doesn't happen. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.